Alright, the next thing I'm going to get into on this bike is removing the exhaust. As I need to change the oil pan gasket. It's leaking pretty bad. So I'm going to take these bolts off up here, which I already broke loose. And I guess when somebody was doing this aftermarket exhaust, it's got an FMF exhaust on it. They have a 12 millimeter on one bolt and a 13 on the other three. So we're going to drop this exhaust, get it out of the way, and then I also want to try to repack this exhaust because it's awful loud. So we're going to do that at the same time, hopefully, and change this oil pan gasket. So I just want to go ahead and change that. I'm going to drain the oil out of it, and then we're going to go ahead and do the oil pan gasket and all of that fun stuff. So, alright, this is the same as how it would be for an oil change. So we're going to do the video as an oil change video and oil pan gasket replacement at the same time. But I generally like to get the bike warm and drain the oil. But since I have the tank and everything off of it right now, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'm just going to, and I'm going to be dropping the oil pan anyhow so I can clean out all the gunk and everything that's in it. Bike only has 16,000 miles on it, so hopefully there shouldn't be too much abuse or any kind of pieces in it. But I used a 16 millimeter socket just to break, or I'm sorry, 17 millimeter socket to break this drain plug loose. So now we're going to just go ahead and drain the oil. Good grief, and a long enough drain plug on it. There we go. Get that out, and we'll let the oil drain for a while. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here. Alright, this bike has a K&N oil filter on it, which has the nut on the back of it. You can remove it. Let's see if we can get the camera on here. So I'm going to go ahead and use the same 17 millimeter socket and remove the oil filter. I already broke it loose, so I'm going to have to get another oil filter while I'm out today, if I go out today. And I already have the oil that I'm going to use in this. So we should be good to go there. And so just remove the oil filter. And we'll let this drain here for a few minutes. Alright, I'm going to use some brake cleaner and clean around this oil pan gasket. Just clean everything up. I don't want to take any chance of having debris fall back in the oil pan when I go to put everything on. So I might as well clean it up while everything is draining here and I have the drain pan under it. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm just going to use probably a brush and some degreaser or brake clean up all around here that has all this debris and everything on it. I probably should have left the oil filter on. I might even just go ahead and put the oil filter back on once this is done draining, just so debris and everything doesn't get in the motor in any way. So I'm going to let this drain and we'll be back. Alright, I've got all the bolts loose for the oil pan. You do have to remove this bracket because it is hooked around this wire here, this cabling that runs through. So I've got the oil pan, all the bolts out except for two. So I'm going to remove those two bolts, drop the oil pan down. Let's see if I can put this camera in a way that you can see it. I think you can see it there. It appears that all these bolts are the same size, lengthwise. Plastic from this. Alright, get the bolt on the other side. And of course, can't quite reach it. And there it's out. Alright, so I'm going to drain this pan in another pan that I have over here. So I'll be right back. I'm going to show you real quick. There is a screen in here, and this screen does have a little bit of debris in it. I haven't looked at it to see if it's metal or if it's just little chunks of who knows what that has made it through. But so the screen is something that you need to take this oil pan off every once in a while and clean out, and clean the screen if there's any sludge. It doesn't seem to be any sludge, a little bit of dirt and stuff down here on the bottom. So I'm going to clean that out, and then we'll get ready to put the new oil pan gasket on and put it back together. Alright, I got the new gasket on. I just used a dab of like Permatex in the corners just to kind of hold the gasket in place. It looked like they did the same thing at the factory. So now we're going to go ahead and put it on. Let me get the camera down here. Hopefully you can see under there. Turn my light on. Alright, I'm going to move the oil pan out of the way. And so we can get everything lined up here. There's a little tube back here that has to drop down into the oil pan. Get everything lined up here. Come on. That tube is just not wanting to fall in the right spot. There we go. Alright, so I'm just gonna get this bolt lined up here. Alright, so as soon as I was putting that those bolts in, my battery died on the GoPro. So I went ahead and just put all the bolts in, and I just snugged them up. I'm going to torque them down now. It's 106 inch-pounds is what the book says the torque is on these bolts. So I'm going to get my torque wrench out, and I'm going to torque them down. I'm going to go in a crisscross pattern. The book doesn't say anything about doing that, but I'm going to do that. So hopefully the gasket will press up in there nice and even all the way around. Alright, so I'm just going to snug and a pattern here. Just kind of jumping around. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to jump around on some of these, snug them up. Like I said, kind of a crisscross pattern. Kind of side to side, front to back. And so I'm going to do this. I'm going to have to keep moving around the bike. So I'm just going to pause it here, but just torque them down to 106 inch-pounds. And okay, got all the bolts torqued down. All of them are torqued to 106 inch-pounds. So now I'm going to have to go out and get an oil filter for it. But so that should be it for this part. We'll have to add the oil and oil filter and be done with the oil change part of it. Alright, I put the new oil filter on, and now I'm going to add the oil. Since I removed the oil pan, it's probably going to take about 2 quarts, maybe a little more than 2 quarts. So we're going to go ahead and add the oil in now. Alright, I added the oil. I don't know if you can see in the sight glass there. It's right at the top of the mark, but I haven't started it yet, so you know, it will probably need a little more oil once we get it started, running through, pumping the oil filter full and everything. So once we start the bike and run it for a little bit, we'll recheck the oil again at that time. But for now, I think we got enough oil in it. Actually, it's, as we're talking, it's settling down some, and so I'll probably add a little more oil to it. I've added a little less than 2 quarts right now, so I'm going to go ahead and fill it up, put the 2 quarts in it like it says if it's completely dry, and so then we'll move on to something else after that. So I'll probably wrap this up as the oil change video. Hope you like it. Please like, please subscribe. We're going to have a lot more coming on this bike and on this build. Thanks for watching.